It says live. All right. Can't post to some channels. Oh, well, I'm going to click this. Welcome back. Okay. All right. Social comments. So the world as I know it has become rather more unexpectedly interesting the last couple of days, and I am delighted that the interesting elements are positive. I am thunderstruck that it seems to be working. Whatever it is that I'm doing seems to be working. And all of the dots seem to be connecting themselves in a way that I had hoped they would, which is a little crazy. Okay, so there may be an issue because I'm only seeing welcome back on YouTube. So if anybody on Facebook, and I know you're watching, but if you would type a comment so I can see if it's working, that would be a big help because I kind of overwhelmed by a lot right now. So I wanted to talk today about now what, because it is the question we ask when we were certain that when we put all the ingredients in the bowl, according to the recipe, and then we flang that into a pan and put it in the oven, it would turn into being something that looked remarkably like the picture in the recipe book. And when we open the oven door and it looks nothing like anything we have seen on this earth, not even on most recent science fiction shows we watched, we tend to say, now what? We may say now what while we're getting the fire extinguisher, but now what is typically what some voice in our head is saying, because we were sublimely convinced that we were going to get the thing that looks like in the recipe book, because we follow the instructions. So the reason I want to talk about that is because our now what moments can be alarming, frightening, frustrating, upsetting, challenging, and they can also be incredibly wonderful. And we didn't actually expect that. So we are equally overwhelmed and equally uncertain and equally confused by the fact that everything seems to be coming together. So I've been talking for a while now about the ups and downs of the last few months. And I have found that one of the things that I have not felt that I had time to do was take a break. One of the things I have not felt justified in doing was stepping back, stepping out of this confusing, overwhelming, headlong rush that I found myself on. And I have had a challenge with that. I've struggled with it because I felt that my participation in what was happening mattered. Not because it's me and I matter and all that stuff. Not that I was performing functions that were essential to a good outcome. And the last thing I wanted to do was let anybody down. The last thing I wanted to do was be late, not show up, bring the wrong stuff. If I had the ability to know what I was supposed to bring, know what was needed, let's say that, not necessarily that I was supposed to bring it, but know what was needed and know whether I had it and whether I could provide it. That's part one. Two is then doing all those things, finding it, getting it, putting it in the car and providing it, bringing it, unpacking it, delivering it. What has to happen at some point, and I have told this to people and we have all heard it before, we get into a rhythm where we don't feel that it is important for us to take me time. We tell ourselves, I have to do this. And the answer is that may be true. However, when you look at the ocean, the wave doesn't keep coming. The wave hits the beach. It doesn't keep hitting the beach. It has to go away to recharge. The wave uses up all its force, boof, when it hits the beach. It recedes, and it doesn't recede with a fair amount of ta-da. There are no trumpets when a wave recedes. It's very quiet. It's exhausted. It's flat. It recedes. It goes away, and it regains the energy it needs. It has no choice, really. The waves don't get to decide. The molecules of the waves don't say, no, I'll keep going. I'll keep going. They don't get to do that. They go away. They're forced to go away. And what had not occurred to me until I was on a phone call about 10 minutes ago, and I finally heard the person on the other end of the call, I finally heard them say, and now you need to take me time. I finally heard it after they'd said it probably 10 times. And for the first 7 or 8, I'd said, I know, right? I know, yeah, I know. And then I would continue. And at every opportunity, when I paused to breathe, they would say it again. And I didn't hear them. I realized after I hung up that they'd said it a lot. And I hadn't heard them because I was on a roll. I was on a momentum. And if you know me, you know what that looks like. You know what that sounds like. It's very entertaining. It's also overwhelming for everybody. The listener, the passerby, and me. Overwhelming. I can't not do it if I feel it's necessary to make sure I'm heard, or make sure the message is heard, or make sure the message is received, or make sure that the person who needs to know is connected. Why do I do that? I think it's how I'm wired. I think it's how I came into the world. And if it isn't how I came into the world, it's how I became a functioning person in the world. Maybe the military, maybe my parents, maybe who knows, maybe, a cascade of catastrophes or triumphs, who knows. It's the way I'm wired. And in this last adventure, yet another thing happened yesterday. And I was talking on Tuesday when I was doing my video, and gosh, I hope this one is connecting. I was talking about carts and horses, and how when we place the cart before the horse, we make a lot of assumptions. We work from a place where we believe a thing is real, that we have crossed a finish line, that we have dotted the I and crossed the T, and it is now real. And we then base every next thing we do on that assumption. When it is revealed to us that it wasn't yet complete, that it wasn't yet real, then we have to reassess all the horses. We have to reconnect with all the people that we put in play. We have to re-examine the strategy that we built, predicated on that one fact that we had not confirmed effectively. When we discover that it in fact is not written in stone, there's a lot of tap dancing we have to do, a lot of work we have to do. And so the follow-up to that video on Tuesday is this one, the now what? And I posted an image on Facebook just a few minutes before I started of this incredible cosplayer who I met at Ottawa Comic Con, wearing the most extraordinary costume I've ever seen. I was, I've done a lot of live events. I've shown up at a lot of places wearing remarkably odd things on purpose because that's what was asked of me. And so I am speaking from a place of experience when I say, how did you get in that? And how do you get out of it? I mean, when you maybe have a crisis, like you have to go to the, how do you do that alone? Do you have handlers? Didn't appear to have handlers when he came to my booth. So I was gobsmacked. We are not worthy, I said to him many times. When I've thought it was difficult for me to do what I did, and I see you. You have reinvented how on earth, because the now what for him had to be well and truly rehearsed for him to be able to navigate that day and for all 3 days of Comic-Con, because unless he had 2 other costumes. So the now what that I talk about all the time, and I say, I think of now what as this moment when you're waiting for a phone call and it doesn't come, and it doesn't come, and it doesn't come, and it doesn't come. And finally, in exasperation, you pick up the phone, the old-fashioned phone, and you tap the phone, and there is a dial tone. And you realize the reason you've had no call has nothing to do with the phone. So if it has nothing to do with the phone, there's only 2 other variables, and we are one of them. And they are the other. So there's 2 human elements, and it's not working. What do? Now what? We have no plan. We thought we had a cart and a horse. Turns out we don't. Now what? So I usually talk about this in terms of catastrophe, in terms of we wanted the phone to ring. Okay, today and last night and yesterday and tomorrow probably, this particular set of now whats is the reverse. The phone did ring. I did get the answer I wanted. I do have the cart. And oh, look at all the horses. And the funny thing is that in hearing the yes, I heard yes. And I didn't know what to do. Because part of me, after all the months of frantic scrambling, yes is the last thing I expected. I expected, well, we can, if, that's what I expected. I didn't expect no, although I knew that no could be a possibility. I didn't really expect no. I expected it to be complicated. I expected it to be uphill. I expected it to be a massive challenge. I expected everything to be another ordeal. And it wasn't. Now what? And as this person on the phone kept saying, now you have some me time. You're safe. You're safe. It worked. You're okay. You're where you need to be. It's fine. The other things that will require you don't require you right now. You don't have to make everything happen and get completed today, right now, this moment. You can do something nice for you. You've earned it. You've earned it. And I finally heard them. And I said, yeah, that's true. I have earned it. And they said, what are you going to do? And I said, well, I'm scheduled to do a video. It's one of my favorite things. And I really hope I get the technology right, because I really hope everyone sees it. And I hope they take something away from it that means something to them. Because this is a really incredible moment. And then I got off the phone and I looked at the clock and I thought, wow, I have just enough time to try and figure this technology out again. You know what it is about me and this technology? It's like that movie 50 First Dates, where Drew Barrymore can't remember anything that she learned yesterday. I need to have fewer things happening to me in rapid succession so I can retain some of this. I don't have to keep calling Billy and saying, "Hi, I don't know what I'm doing. It's say the screen is blank. Why is it blank?" So today, the conversation is a thing we all hear, a thing we all say. We say it a lot to moms. We say it a lot to caregivers. You really need to take time for yourself. And they say, "Oh yes, I know, I know, I know," and they don't. And today, I think is maybe the first time I can actually see why. And I'm going to say it in a way that I hope it hits home. When I was a kid and it was my bedtime, my parents would say, "It's bedtime, time to go." And I would kiss them goodnight. I would leave the room and then I would come back in and do a dance routine. The thing is, I would do the routine with no music. So I looked demented. I know I did, because I had them laughing in about 3 seconds. And I'd taught them, I'd conditioned them, I groomed them to expect that I would make them laugh. So they were ready for it. And I would come in and I would do all these things. And I've told the story. I'd fall over furniture and I'd get up and pretend to have hurt myself and wince and struggle around and then, do something else. And then my dad would say, "Go," and I'd leave and, dance off. And then I'd come back. And I could usually, on a good night, I could get 3 curtain calls. And then finally he would stand up. "Good night, Daddy. Good night, Mom." Go. So that relentless need to fill the empty moment so that I don't get told bad news. If they can't get a word in edgewise, if they're laughing too hard, if they're having too much fun, if they're having so good a time that they forget, then I win. That I didn't consciously think that, but as I look back, of course, that's what I was doing. I was trying to exert control over things not in my control. And the way I was doing it was by distracting people who had the control. I wasn't hurting them. I was entertaining them. I was completely distracting them from their purpose. And I've done it a lot over the years. As a result, I'm fairly good at it. And a lot of times I do it without even conscious thought. So that habit that I have developed, that I have perfected, that I have polished, of filling the empty moments instead of allowing the empty moments to be, instead of saying, "I agree, it is time for me to relinquish control. Good night. I'll see you in the morning," and go gracefully to my bed. That is what we do. Same-ish, little different. When we don't allow ourselves to do a diagnostic and realize we're tired. When we don't allow ourselves to say, "Oh, thank you," and sit down. When we don't allow ourselves to be those molecules of H and O, 2H1O, that have collected together to become a wave, when we don't allow ourselves as those molecules to recede from the beach, when we claw ourselves to stay on that beach just a few minutes longer to do another curtain call, it takes us longer to recharge. We pay the price. When the mom who just doesn't allow herself to sit down and put her feet up, when the caregiver, when the first responder, when the soldier, when the people who take on the job. I read a beautiful article this morning about an officer who lost his life. And the article referred to him as a sheepdog guarding a flock. And it is only the other sheepdogs who know what the sacrifice is. Quite often the flock is abusive, doesn't care, is disrespectful. And the job never ends. There is always a flock. And the article was thanking that sheepdog and never forgetting what that sacrifice means. The thing is, the sheepdog has to look after the sheepdog too. And mom has to look after herself too. First, actually, if mom doesn't get enough sleep, she can put all kinds of wrong ingredients in the porridge in the morning. Salt instead of sugar, same color. Oops. I mean, there's just so many things that we do less well. We still may excel at them. You know, when I was on the phone this morning, I said, I feel like I'm at 70% capacity. And this person said, well, then you need to go and top up the tank. And the only way to do that is take a break. Not take a break and goof off. Take a break to rest and restore, recharge, rethink, and give thanks. They said, look where you are. Look at all the things. Look at all of the things you've juggled. All the hours, all the planning, the piles of paper that you still haven't sorted because you're still using them for that other purpose. It's time to give yourself a break, they said. And I said, oh, I know. So the messenger, me, is telling the rest of you that I'm passing along the message. And then when the message is sent, and I hope it's received in the way this technology is supposed to work, I hope you hear me more clearly and more immediately than I heard my friend on the phone. I've had 4 very close friends say the same thing. And to every one of them, every time they've said it, I've said, oh, I know. Oh, I know. Absolutely, I know. And then I've said, I just need to do these 3 things. Because I wasn't listening. Because I was convinced that I could cling to that beach just a few seconds longer. I just need to do these 3 things. I just want one more curtain call. I don't need to have another curtain call. They're not going to forget me. You're not going to forget me. This process, these things that were set in motion, they will wait. They will wait while I reheat the coffee and make my breakfast. They will wait while I say, you know what, I'm just going to go and stand and open the window and get some fresh air in here. I'm just going to go downstairs and see this. I'm going to do that. I feel like doing that. For me, it's not on my list of chores. I'm not making a list. The list is embedded in here. I don't need to make a list. What I need to do is take care of me. And what you need to do is hear that. You need to repeat it. Exactly. Not what Abby needs to do is take care of her. No, exactly what I said. What I need to do is take care of me. And all the other stuff that you need to do, absolutely. Right after we take care of us. That's the now what. Everything is unfolding. As it should? Probably. Does it always feel like it? No. No, it doesn't always feel like it. Sometimes it feels like a circus with that music, that awful music stuck And it keeps going on and on and on and on and on. Those poor acrobats and those poor animals and those poor clowns have to keep coming out and doing their thing again. Our now what is in this moment. Let's own this moment. We don't have to own the other moments. Let's just own this one. Scary. Let's own this one. And choose to let the other moments wait their turn. I'm going to do that today. Will you join me? Okay. All right. I've made you a promise. You've promised me. We're going to stick to it. I'm going to look after me today. You look after you. And then we'll check in on each other and see how it went. So today is Thursday. Events are unfolding. I may have news. The news just may be that I had a great day. And that would be incredible. It may also be other news. We'll find out. We'll find out what the universe wants to have happen. So in the meantime, between now and next week, I might have to come on here as a surprise and let you know what's updated. It might be very cool. In any case, between now and the next live, you know the drill, right? Be good to you. By being good, make you a priority right now. Right now. When this ends and you said, thanks, Abby, have a good weekend, in the comments, do something nice for you. Small, medium, large, 2 seconds, 2,000 seconds, doesn't matter. Do something nice for you, and I promise I will do something nice for me. Okay? Be good to you. You deserve it. Remember to hug your loved ones. They deserve it too. Thanks for watching. See you next time.